Conversations and callers with absolutely no filter. Rich insisted this was a good idea. Management remains skeptical. Welcome to the 933 Experiment. This is News Radio WRVA.
All right, it's 9:34 this morning here on News Radio WRVA. Thank you for joining us here on The Voice of Virginia. This is the part where I have to take full responsibility for what's going to happen next, because I said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we took telephone calls and open up the phone lines for people? Great. That's what we're doing. 833-804-1140. 833-804-1140. Dave, if you'll open up the phone lines for us, 833-804-1140. You can either send us a text message or you can call into the program. So I put this up. Oh, by the way, you can also answer on Facebook.com/NewsRadioWRVA. Facebook.com/NewsRadioWRVA. So I ask you this question this morning. Freedom 250. We had the final portion of the celebration of America's 250th birthday. Was it a success? Was it a success? Was it a waste of time? Was it a waste of money? And I really want to know, because we're so close to D.C., did any of you participate in any of the Freedom 250 celebrations? Number for you to call into the program, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Yesterday, that race was pretty incredible. I thought about going up. I didn't get the lottery to get tickets. I'm sure I could have, but I watched it on television. I had a bunch of stuff I had to do around the house. I said, okay, let's not go up there one more time. I've been up to D.C. quite a bit, and I had to wanted to get to bed so I can get ready for the show this morning. So I didn't go up watching. It was incredible. Wish I would have gone. But I had gone to participate in so many other things during America's 250th celebration this summer in Washington, D.C., and they were all, I'll put it to you this way, it's something I'll talk to my grandkids about one day, that I was able to be in our nation's capital on the 4th of July. And remember, I was there for the speech at the Washington Memorial, but we had to leave because of the weather, and I never got back in, so I didn't even get the chance to see that. And I still think it was an incredible moment in American history. Now, Scott the Independent said, USA 250, and I'm going to paraphrase Scott, so don't get mad because I don't have your text message in front of me, but yours one that stuck out and said, it's no different than the other 249. Au contraire, mon frere. I actually spent time on the ground, experienced everything that we had for 250. Washington, D.C. has never been cleaner. All the fountains work. I just say that. All the fountains work, graffiti. It's never been cleaner. But for me, being there in our nation's capital on the 4th of July in that week was something special. Not because of the events, which were incredible, but for me, it was something special because of the people that were there that made it incredible, that showed that national pride, that showed that we're all in this together. And I'll be candid with you, especially doing this job, there's times where I'll have it back up in my head. I'll have it somewhere in the back of my head. Are we really all together like that? Because if you just watch social media, all we're done is we're pitted against each other. Sometimes I feel like those red ants and those black ants in the ant farm. Super Dave, you know that, right? If you put red ants and black ants together, they're not naturally going to fight. But if you put them in an ant farm, they'll just kind of, the red ants go to one side, black ants go to the other. They don't really intermix unless you shake it up. And then they're going to fight each other. Sometimes I feel like we're that in America, where the Republicans and Democrats, we're just trying to live our lives. But then social media and everybody gets us all shaken up, so we're all at each other's throats. And sometimes I'm kind of sad because you feel like the nation is tearing apart and nobody's alike and we're not feeling it. And there's times where you just feel sad, like, what am I handing off to my kids and my grandkids one day? The country's always been divided. You go back to the Whigs and the Democrats, and the founding fathers, we're never going to be 100% united because we have all these freedoms, and these freedoms mean we get to have our own opinion, and we're not being told what to do or what to say. So we're always going to have differences of opinion, and that's great. That's what makes America who we are, because we're going to have these debates. We're going to have these talks, and not everybody's going to get their way all the time. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I went, and I thought it was spectacular. I enjoyed every minute of it, but not so much for the people or for the events. Like, I went to the Great American State Fair, really disappointed. Virginia completely dropped the ball, and nobody's ever addressed that, and I brought it up numerous times, that when I went to go into the Virginia exhibit, it was padlocked, and we just recycled old stuff and really could care less. Really disappointed Governor Spanberger that, I don't know, what do you drive 5 minutes from Northern Virginia into Washington, D.C., and that's all we did? We had probably one of the 5 worst exhibits at the Great American State Fair, and no one in Richmond seemed to care. It was embarrassing how bad Virginia represented itself at the Virginia State Fair. I did have a good time there. I didn't get to see the rodeo because it was too hot that day, but I still will cherish that moment going to the Great American State Fair for the rest of my life. I got to see the flyovers. They were incredible in Washington, D.C. That was amazing. But the thing that really I loved was just sitting talking to people from around the country. And maybe we take it for granted, but there were people that saved for years and drove cross country with their kids, and they stopped along the way just to see America. And they got to D.C., and that was their big family vacation that they planned, to come to D.C. for our nation's 4th. That was inspiring. I've done that trip. I've gone where I just stopped and talked to people along the way. You get to see the country like you never had before. If you fly across country, you never see all the parts of Texas and Oklahoma and Georgia and Tennessee. I've driven cross country 1, 2, 5 times. I hope to do it again. It's pretty cool. So here's what I'm asking. Phone lines are open. 833-804-1140. The reason we do this is I still want to remind people that you have a voice on talk radio. Sometimes we'll get into things that are pretty big. Sometimes we'll get into things that are a lot of fun. But I'm just reminding you, for a radio station that doesn't take a lot of telephone calls locally, I want to start doing more of that here on Richmond's Morning News. So we open up the phone lines. I fought to do this, 833-804-1140. Just whether you went up there or not, what did you think of the celebration of America's 250? Compare and contrast it if you want. Those of you that are old enough to remember the bicentennial, did we do a better job this year than we did for the bicentennial? Did we do a better job this year for the semi-quincentennial than we did for the bicentennial? 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140, the number for you to join us. Hubby and kids went up to the race and said it was amazing. Everyone was so nice, joyful, helping each other at the side of the track. Awesome event. Somebody else said flyovers were absolute fire. Love to hear that. Like I said, I just was sitting there talking to random people, and we all just stood and talked around about how much we love this country. To me, that was inspiring. Now, here's what I'll tell you if you want to compare and contrast. I think our semi-quincentennial is pretty amazing. I thought the events, I thought the flyovers. People hated the UFC. They hated so many things about this. But you know what it was? It wasn't the elites. I had somebody who's doesn't like rodeo. I'll leave that alone because don't take me down. Don't take me down your goofy take on rodeo if you've never been around the cattle industry. So I'll just leave you alone for that one. Here's what I'm going to tell you. One of the reasons why people hated the semi-quincentennial celebrations, number one, it was Donald Trump, but number two, it was American people, regular, everyday people, blue-collar people people that got in their minivan and drove from Iowa to Washington, D.C. People got in their pickup truck and drove from Florida to Washington, D.C. People got in their SUV and drove from Wyoming to Washington, D.C. Because I met people from all across the country, all across the world when I was up there that week. And like I said, I went to a bunch of different events for the semi-quincentennial. And again, phone lines are open, 833-804-1140. The text messages. I think we have an audience that loves to text message, but not many people will call up. That's okay. We'll work through all that. You can also go to facebook.com/newsradiowrva, facebook.com/newsradiowrva. Here's what I'm going to tell you. The elites hated it. The elites absolutely hated the Freedom 250 with a passion because it was for everyday Americans, not for the elites. They hated the UFC beneath the dignity of the White House. They've got people out there from the Nitro Circus riding motorcycles on the front lawn doing loops, and then having the fights out there. That's gross. They didn't like the rodeo. They didn't like the state fair. They didn't like anything. They didn't like the flyovers. They hated all of it. Why? Because it wasn't what a lot of liberal elites wanted, which is, we'll have a concert at the Kennedy Center and we'll all sit there and go to a cocktail party. We'll have the Met Gala. We'll have all these things that the elites love to do. But a lot of those just aren't opened up to the general public. Think about this. I'll give you the perfect example of this. The inauguration. All the regular people like you and I are on the parade route watching, cheering on our new president. And then as soon as it's over, what happens? There are all these really fancy, high-priced balls, and the president and the first lady go around to all these balls, have one dance, and they go from this ball to that ball to that ball to that ball. Let me ask you this. How many of you have ever been invited to an inaugural ball? How many of you put on a tuxedo and gone to one of those elite events? I've never. Have you? But I got to go out there to watch what was going on at the White House in all the events that were there for the 4th of July. You didn't have to be a billionaire donor. You didn't have to be a millionaire donor. You didn't have to be a special elite. It opened it up to everybody to be there. And I think that's why a lot of people disliked it. Ferris wheel over the mall was incredible. For the 250, my family and kids ages 10 and 12 will never forget the view from the top of the Capitol, out one side of the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial on the other. Pretty cool. Let's go to, where am I going to go? Garrett, line one. Garrett, welcome. You're on News Radio WRVA.
I just wanted to note that the Sail 250 was a really awesome part of the celebration. My sister sailed on the Parade of Sails and down in I saw her down in Norfolk.
Oh, the Sail Fest, the Sail Fest 250 down in Norfolk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that went
I'm sorry.
so well.
You cut out for just a second. I thought you called the whole thing the Fail 250. I'm like, okay, I'll go with you here. No, the Sail 250 was supposed to be incredible, right?
Oh yeah, it was so successful. It was a great time.
I wanted to go. I didn't go out. Was it in Yorktown or was it in? Remind me where it was.
I think the ships sailed through. Some of the ships stopped in Yorktown.
Right.
But it was in Norfolk.
Right. It was okay. That's right. It was in Norfolk, and then we also had some of the tall ships that came up the James, and they had a day where they had them here in Richmond, and then they had a drone show that was supposed to be incredible.
Yeah. The people involved in putting that together did a really good job. It was a blast.
So do you remember the bicentennial?
No, I'm too young for that.
See, thanks a lot. Now you're going to make me feel old. I remember the bicentennial. Thought it was pretty cool. I thought the events this year for the semi-quincentennial, I mean, I felt like they were open for everybody.
But yeah, I was really resonating with what you were describing that you experienced with the in DC. That was a spirit at the Sail 250 where
that's awesome.
My sister was able to explain all these interesting trivia. She spent like 45 minutes talking to everyone. And,
oh, that's awesome.
This and that. Yep.
Okay. Hey, thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Yep. The one thing, though, that I will tell you, I think the biggest difference for me, maybe it was just me because of a little town, I was a little kid, compared to the semi-quincentennial is, and I went back and I read news reports and I went on YouTube and watched all the news reports and how the news reported. And again, this is before we had all the cable channels that hyper focus, just to kind of have your point of view. The big difference for me between the two was that on the semi-quincentennial, great events, but a lot of people just didn't like it. Bicentennial, pretty much universally, I don't remember anybody pushing back, hating on America's 200th birthday. In fact, I think we had more people coming together for that than I think we had for the semi-quincentennial. And to me, that was kind of sad, and I would have been bummed out unless I would have sat there myself and met these people from all these different places and kind of figured out we are united. We just don't hear it all the time. A couple other people said, yeah, the Ferris wheels. I'm afraid of heights, so I didn't go up on the Ferris wheel. Thought the Great American State Fair was Smithsonian Folklife Festival, except focused on 50 states. If you love our country, you probably loved it. If you don't love our country, you probably didn't. All right, I think that's fair. All right, Super Dave's telling me shut up and talk because it's time for us to get out of here, right?
Yes, almost time.
All right. Are you still salty today? I started out with you not yelling at me, and then you started yelling at me at the end of the show today. Did I slip today as we got to the end of it?
I don't remember yelling at you at all today.
Well, if you want to talk about that, you can watch us on Facebook.com/NewsRadio WRVA. Super Dave, don't forget we have the postgame show coming up.
I'll be ready.
All right. So if you want to, about 10 o'clock, we'll go live Facebook. You can ask us questions about the show today. A lot of people have a lot of different things to say, and you can listen to Dave yell at me. So Facebook.com/NewsRadio WRVA. We'll go live here at just about 10 minutes from now for our postgame wrap. All right. Today's program brought to you by Freedom Services and Training, the biggest little gun store in town, located in Mechanicsville. All right. I'm going to put up more pictures, and I got video from our RVA community cookout. We'll do that for you coming up today as well. So make sure you check us out. News Radio WRVA and Rich, the number 4 America, Rich for America. We'll put all of that up today on social media. And again, thanks to everybody for coming out to visit us this weekend, including the Super Dave super fans. Super Dave super fans. Thank you all very much. I love them all. Yep, the Super Dave super fans came out in droves to see Super Dave. All right, that's it. We're done. There's a reason I get up every morning, because there's some things that I believe in that I'm always going to stand up for. One, I always believe and I'm proud of, and I stand up for my family. The other is this great country. That's why I get up every morning to bring you Richmond's Morning News. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Your News Radio WRVA.
Please stand for the national anthem of the United States of America.